Okay, this lesson is some more proofs. So we already talked about vertical angles and that they're congruent. Well, now there's a theorem. So if you can see from a diagram, go ahead and mark in that these two are congruent. So this is 1, this is 2. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 by the vertical angle theorem. I shorten it to say that. And we also know that angle 3 is congruent to angle 4, also by the vertical angle theorem. Okay, next theorem, congruent supplements theorem. Congruent supplements add up to 180, and then theorem. If two angles are supplements of the same angle. So what that means is if you have this angle, let's say you have this red angle, and we'll say this is 50 degrees. And you have one other angle that supplement to it, and a different angle that supplement to it. These blue angles have to be the same angle. Okay, if they're both supplement to the same angle, then they both have to be 130 degrees in this case. That's called the congruent supplements theorem. The congruent complements theorem is the same. If you have a 50-degree angle and this angle is complement to it, this angle is complementary to it, then this black angle has to be 40 degrees in both cases. A couple more things that are not, like they don't have theorems for them, but all right angles are congruent. So this makes sense. All 90-degree angles, right angles, are going to be congruent. These two angles are congruent. If two angles are congruent and supplementary. So the only way that you can have two angles that are supplementary, so make a line add up to 180, and congruent, is if they're 90s. It's the only way that you can do it. Okay, I'm going to show you how to, if given a diagram, to provide justifications and solve for x. So I know just in the beginning of this lesson that I can mark that these two are congruent. So I'm going to write that 2x plus 3 equals 4x minus 10. And I need to provide justifications for it. So the justification for this line is by the vertical angle theorem. Says that two angles are congruent if they're vertical. So the next line is I need to solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 2x from each side. So if I subtract 2x from each side, I'm going to have 3 equals 2x minus 10. So my justification is going to be the subtraction property of equality. The next line, still solving for x, I'm going to add 10 to each side. So I have 13 equals 2x. So the line before, what I did was I did the addition property of equality. And then the last step is I'm dividing both sides by 2, so it's going to be 6.5 equals x, and that's called the division property of equality. That's how you do an angle proof. Okay, here's another proof. So when you're doing a proof has a given and what you need to prove. So I'm going to do a line right here. These are your justifications. And these are your conclusions. So the first thing that you always want to write in a proof is a given. So the given is angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. The justification is given. So let's just draw it out. It helps us to draw it out. So I have angle 1 and angle 2 have to add up to 180. They don't need to be adjacent. I'm just drawing them adjacent. Now second given is on the next line, angle 3 and angle 2 are supplementary. So that's also given. So I have kind of 2 drawn in right here, so I'm going to draw another 2, another angle that looks like 2. And now we have angle 3. So you have to think about any definitions, theorems, postulate that talk about this. So if I know that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, and angle 3 and angle 2 are supplementary, that's kind of like the previous page theorem where it said that if 2 angles are supplementary to the same angle, these are supplementary to angle 2, then these have to be congruent. So then I know that angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent by the congruent supplements theorem. So when I'm doing a proof, I want to have my last line needs to have this. And I did. So whenever you're doing a proof, you can always copy down the last line in your conclusion. And then you'll have to later figure out what your justifications are going to be for it. But so when you're doing a proof, you write the givens down and the justification is given. And then you can copy down what you have to prove on the very last line and see what you can do to fill it in. Okay, the next type of problem. An angle is 2 more than its complement. Find both angle measures. So we know complement means they add up to 90. So an angle, we'll let that be x, is 2 more. So the next one has to be x plus 2. Both of these added together have to be 90. Now it says find both angle measures. Well, first I have to solve for x. So I have 2x plus 2 equals 90. Subtract 2, subtraction property of equality, 88. Then division property of equality, oh I have x. So x equals 44. But that didn't answer the question. X is 44, find both angle measures. So one angle has to be 44 degrees, and the other angle has to be 46 degrees. And check it, do they both add up to 90? Yep, so here's my answer. Okay, another one, this is kind of like the previous page. An angle is 3 times its supplement. So supplement adds up to 180. So this means that we're going to have an angle, which is going to be x, is 3 times, so the next one's going to be 3 times x, so it's 3x equals 180. Now we're going to solve for x, so it's going to be 4x equals 180. So x equals, divide 180 by 4, x equals 45. So it says, solve an equation to find the measures of both angles. So one angle is 45 degrees, and the other angle is 3 times 45. 3 times 45 is 135 degrees. And the last one. An angle is half as large as its complement. So complement means it adds up to 90. So there's 2 ways that you can do this. Just to avoid working with the fractions, instead of saying x plus 1/2 x equals 90, you're going to get the same 2 angle measures as if you do x plus 2x equals 90. I'm going to show you how you're going to get both answers. So in the left hand side, this will be 1/2 x. If you combine these two, equals 90. X equals, divide both sides by 1/2, is 60. So if 1 is 60, the other one has to be half of it, which is 30. So your answers are 30 and 60. I actually think it might be easier to not do the fraction and do x plus 2x, because you're still going to get the same answer. So you watch, you'll get 3x equals 90. Then you'll get x equals 30 when you divide both sides by 3. So your two answers will be 30 and 60. So if you have a fraction, if it says an angle is a third of as large as its complement, do x plus 3x. If an angle is a fourth as large as its complement, do x plus 4x.